Good evening, sir.
Right. Pair 17. So we've been discussing the credit risk. I would like to make a little announcement before I start. Actually, I am not well today, but I didn't want to cancel the class because we are doing the revision. Can we continue without a break and we will finish it around 9 o'clock? Is that fine? Yeah?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
totally.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please. Thank you. So we will continue without the break, and then I'll stop at 9. Right. So let me share the screen. Right. So we've been discussing the credit risk, and we stopped at question number 9. Now we continue with question number 10. I am yet to get the host, so the polling option is not yet available. Until we get it, we will use the chat box. You can use the chat box to respond. I'll get the polling option ready in the meantime. So please respond to the chat box. But I think we are starting with a little easy one today. Let's see. The question is, which of the following statements concerning the measurement of credit risk is true? It's about measurement. Right. Credit risk models fail to take into account that loss given default increases with time. The Basel Committee guidelines include a clear distinction between the credit risk of different banks. Credit risk of a portfolio is generally higher than the sum of the credit risk of the individual assets. Measuring credit risk involves the use of quantitative models to measure the probability of the issue of a bond defaulting. Yes, as per the given statements, the last statement is the correct one. So I think, yeah, except three of you, all the others have given the correct answer. So the answer is D. Type it. D. Right. Let us continue to the next question. Question number 11. Right, I've got 18 responses. Let's see the question. Right. Question is, how is diversification best achieved? Right. How is diversification best achieved? By lending to organizations across similar industrial sectors that have the lowest possible default correlation, by lending to organizations across different industrial sectors that have the highest possible default correlation, by lending to organizations across different industrial sectors that have the lowest possible default correlation by lending to many different organizations within the same industrial sector regardless of default correlation. So I think we have done up to this. I just now recall we are doing this one as well. Anyway, you have given the responses because it looks familiar. We have done this anyway. The correct answer in the given list is C. That's where you get the best result, right? Lending to the organizations across different industrial sectors that have the lowest possible default correlations. So the correct answer is C. 17 out of 19 respondents have given the correct answer. Right. So I think this is the one we start today. I think I made a mistake. Sorry about it. 12. Yeah. So still I have 8 responses. Still, still 10 responses. Let me see what the question is. Which one of the following is true in relation to the amount of credit risk associated with loan defaults. True, right? True. EL is equal to LGD, PD, and EAD, right? That is estimated losses, expected losses, right? Expected loss equal to LGD, PD, EAD. PD equal to EL, LGD, EAD. PD equal to LGD, EAD, EL. EL equal to LGD plus PD plus EAD. This is a very simple, basic question. This is the formula for the risk. So the expected loss is a result of loss given default into probability of default into what? EAD, exposure at default. So the correct answer is A. This one. This is the formula, basic formula. We have discussed this. Right. The answer is A. Right. Let's go to the next question, 13. Right, I got 16 responses. The question is, the Moody's equivalent of a AA S&P rating would be BA, A, Simple A. Yeah, it's something that you need to remember. We discuss the chart. The correct one is this one. AA. Moody's, they use simple A of the correct one is, see, out of the 16 responses, 11 I've got the correct answer. So answer is C. Right. Let's go to question number 14. Right, I've got 18 responses. The question is, which of the following is used as a quantitative measure of a firm's credit risk? Quantitative. The nationality of its client, that's a qualitative thing. Credit rating, again, a qualitative. Its exposure to its clients, that's a value. The client's cash flows. Right. Now, the question is, quantitative measure of credit risk. So when you look at this and this, both are quantitative. As you can see, they are values. But out of the two, this is not a risk measure. Cash flow is an information about the client. So information, the cash flow doesn't give you any risk as it is. But the exposure is what talks about the risk. Therefore, between the two, the correct answer is C. Some of you have selected D because cash flow is quantitative, right? So it's not a risk indicator. Therefore, the correct answer is C. Question 14.
Sir, with regard to that, hello?
Yeah.
Would like to clarify. I mean, wouldn't the cash flow of a company help to understand whether there is any risk of
It
a
it
credit?
is. It is. It would help, but cash flow itself may not be taken as a risk. So the risk is your what is the for example, let's say you have a company with a you get the cash flow. So what you're saying is if the cash flows are coming down or whatever, okay, then there is a indication of a possible risk. But if the company's total exposure is zero, that means their debt is fully covered by a security, then there is no risk calculation there because 100% coverage is there. Yeah, just because the cash flow is giving you the signal, your risk is not materialized, so there's no exposure because you have fully secured the facility. But when you have an exposure unsecured, then that is a risk element for you. That's the difference, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
A small thing, and also in this question, it's the answer B talks about the client's cash flow.
D.
Yes, then that is also not correct, no? Not the firm cash flow, client's cash flow.
Yeah.
I took it as when you take it firm, I like sort
Yeah.
of equal it to the bank.
True. So you can look at it that way also, that there's a correct logic in that, because when you say firm's credit risk, you say client's cash flows. Did you try to interpret client as customers of the firm? What is firm?
Yes, sir. We took it as
No,
customers of the firm.
what did you take as firm? What is the firm here?
The institution.
Institution.
Yeah,
That is
which
the
is
bank,
bank.
bank or whatever,
Yes.
right? Bank is
Yeah.
the firm.
Whoever is lending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then the client's cash flow means your customer's cash flow. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes. But technically, when you look at the credit risk, your customer's cash flow is important anyway, because customer's cash flow will tell you whether their repayment capacity is there or not, right? But whether it is a risk by itself is the question. Just because you have the cash flows, it would not give you a risk by itself unless there is an exposure. Yeah. So it need not be firm's cash flow. Firm cash flow is a different story. Firm cash flow is a let's say bank's cash flow, if you mean there, that is not necessarily a credit risk. Sometimes it can be a liquidity issue, right? In terms of credit risk, you are looking at the debtors. In this case, in a bank, it's your borrowers. That's where the credit risk comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that can be
Even in your argument, if you take it that way, that is not connected to the credit risk. That is connected to the mostly probably even liquidity risk as well. Yeah? But that is not relevant for this question in that case. Whatever the way you looked at it, D is not the correct answer. Sorry, someone was trying to say something. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so this can be easily explained by the equation, isn't it? I mean, exposure is there.
So that's the thing. So the word exposure is the key word here. So that gives you the meaning, right? So when you have an exposure, that indicates a risk for you. That means there's uncovered component of your facility.
And that equation doesn't have the cash flow. Only the
Yeah.
exposure is there.
Yeah, that also you can say. Yeah. Right, let's move there. 15. Right, I've got only 15 up to now, but we'll go because we have around 23 today, 23, 24. Right, let me anyway go ahead with the answer in the interest of time. An institution is seeking to reduce the credit risk of its portfolio. Which of the following is a common technique for managing portfolio credit risk? Now, the key word here is the portfolio, right? Not just credit risk, portfolio credit risk. Applying underwriting standards, setting credit limits, securitizing assets, holding collateral. So as you can see, all these are measures, right, techniques to mitigate. But out of the given things, some are relevant at individual asset level. Out of the given list, securitization is the portfolio level technique, right? So the correct answer is C in the given list, right? So all the techniques are relevant in managing credit risk. But as a portfolio, when you manage, this is the relevant one. Right? Don't forget that. I think out of the 18 responses, only 3 people have got it.
So what is
Right.
the different meaning of security assets and holding collateral?
No, this is not security. This is called securitization. That means you take a portfolio of assets, and then that entire portfolio is used against your arrangement with another party to back the recovery. So there, what happens is, I think we've discussed this even in the past in detail. So there are these techniques called securitization, and also there's something called loan sale, right? So loan selling is you're selling the loan book to another party, right? So we discussed at for example, at a portfolio level, securitization, diversification, loan sales, and even we discussed even credit derivatives. Those are all at portfolio level. So first thing we need to understand, when we manage the credit risk, we manage it at individual asset level or as a portfolio in total, right? So what happens in a securitization is you have a loan or a collection of loan, then you convert that into a instrument. That portfolio will act as an instrument like debenture or any other instrument, so that you let people to invest in the portfolio, right? So it becomes an asset, so that you will not directly recover it from the borrower, but you get other people to invest in that asset, so that your recovery comes from the investors. When the collection comes, they get the collection. That's what we call securitization. The selling is you are pooling the loans, and then you sell the portfolio to another party, so that that party will take care of the loan, the recovery. So you are taking that part out from your books, and somebody else will take care of it. You know what diversification and all we discussed. Okay.
So please
Right.
explain the
Yes, sir.
applying underwriting standards.
Sorry.
Underwriting standards. Now, answer A. What is it?
You mean the meaning?
Yeah, question number 15.
Yeah. Right. So underwriting standards means when you issue a loan, right? What you do is you set standards. We also call them, there's another term we use, covenants. Right?
Conditions like.
Yeah, conditions. So that
okay.
you have you give certain criteria. The borrower has to meet those criteria. Within that limits, you grant them, so that you safeguard your loan within those frames.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So can't you set credit limits for portfolios?
No, when you say credit limit, portfolio level, we look at this risk appetite. You know, sometimes we say you set a risk appetite level for the entire industry level exposure. Right? The total loan portfolio in the agricultural sector should be within 10% of the portfolio. That's the risk appetite levels. Right? But here, the idea of setting credit limits is put a ceiling. Say it's something like we have the single borrower limit, you know, Likewise, we can have different industry, even industries or some type of loan, but when we execute it, that limit applies individually. You say the maximum loan for a particular party or a group of connected parties is 100 million.
Okay.
So that's the kind of limit we are discussing here,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Sir.
Good. That's what I'm expecting. So please clarify if you have any doubts. So this is a chance you get rather than blindly accepting the answer so that you are convinced. Right, let's move. So the correct answer for the question is C, as I told you, right? C. Question 15. The answer is C. Right. Let's go to the next question, 16. I still have 12 responses. Right, let me see the question. Which of the following is not a common technique for mitigating credit risk? Not a common technique. Loan sales, asset securitization, distribution analysis, credit derivatives. I just mentioned in the previous question, right? The different techniques we use to manage risk at portfolio level. Loan sales, asset securitization, credit derivatives are under that. So distribution analysis. Distribution analysis is not a technique to mitigate credit risk. That is actually a method to measure market risk. When we talk about market risk, we use distribution analysis. Remember, we talk about the normal distribution and all statistical things under market risk. So therefore, this is the correct answer. C. Out of 14 responses, 3 people have given the correct answer. Right, let's go to the next.
අම්මේ තුවාලේ කොහෙද අම්මේ? ඔව්. දැන් පාන් ඕනේද?
ඇති
පරිපූර්ණ සයිද?
අවුලන්න පෙර පොඩ්ඩක් මදිනේ
Gayan, can you put yourself to mute, please? I've got 15 responses. Let's see the question. Which of the following factors is least likely to be taken into account when a credit rating agency issues a rating relating to a particular company? So see the question, which out of the factors, the least likely to be taken. That means the most irrelevant one. So there are, out of these 4 factors, there are critical factors, and there could be a factor that is not as critical or important as the rest of the factors. What is that factor? That's the question. Right. The length of time it has been trading, its competitiveness within its industry, the expected growth of its industry, the quality of the company's management. So if you look at out of the 4 factors, when you look at a credit rating, it is the organization's ability to repay the debts or honor the commitments. That's the assessment you are giving when there's a rating, right? How comfortable the rating agency that the organization will honor the credit commitments. So for that, out of the given factors, the length of the time it has been trading or the age of the company is relevant in your overall assessment, but out of the given list, age is not as important as the rest of the information, as you can see. Because whether it's 10 years or 2 years, if you have a stable standing on other areas, you can give a good rating. So therefore, the age of the company is not a critical factor to justify the stability or ability to honor their commitments. Right? So the correct answer, therefore, from the given list is A. Right. Question 17. A. Let's go to the next question. 18. Right, I've got 15 responses. Let's see the question. Which of the following would be used by an independent rating agency when assigning a credit rating? Which of the following would be used by? A short-term analysis of the financial statements only. long-term analysis of the financial statement only. Short-term analysis of the financial statement and current prices of risk-free debt. Short-term analysis of the financial statement and the long-term analysis of the financial statement. Right. So from the given list, the most appropriate response is the last one because we look at both short-term and long-term. So the C doesn't talk about the long-term analysis. They limit the thing to the current prices of the risk-free rate. So the current prices of risk-free rate would be a benchmark in your analysis, but you have to look at the long-term analysis as well. So the correct answer, therefore, here is D. Right. Question 18. D. Right. So I've got a inquiry. What about B as the answer for question 17? Let's see what it is. Okay, so someone is asking whether this would be a good answer. If you compare this two information, the competitiveness of the organization would be an important aspect relative to this, because irrespective of your age, how competitive you are in the market, that means competitiveness also implies whether the organization is in par with the current standards of the peers. If you are a old school, not yet ready for the current trends in the market, not geared to cater to the demands, that also is an indication of not being able to survive in the competitive market. So that is a negative factor. So when a rating agency assesses the stability of an organization, they look at both individual strength of the organization and within the industry, how strong the organization to stand in par with the rest. So therefore, between these two, still this factor is low priority compared to this. Right? Okay, let's go to the next question. Question number 90. So still I've got 13 responses. But I've got 15 responses by now. Let's quickly go. The process whereby an organization pools assets and loans together and sells them as a package to other investors is known as diversification, loan sales, disintermediation, asset securitization. So I think I explained, right, this earlier. Right, there's a little battle between B and D here, right? The definition of asset securitization and loan sale. So I explained you earlier. So asset securitization versus loan sale, both of these techniques have more or less similar features, but there is a slight difference between the two. In a securitization, you transfer the asset using a kind of a instrument. It works as an instrument. That means you define a separate instrument which is backed by the loan portfolio. So you pool them and you convert it to an instrument so that the party can invest in it. In a loan sale, you simply pool it together and give it to another party. It's kind of a basket of loans you sell, right? You have no more involvement. That's the difference between the two. So with keeping that in mind, try to understand this question. Right? Now, the definition here, it says the process whereby an organization pools assets and loans together and sells them as a package to other investors. So this statement is very vague, I must say, because both in the securitization process and the loan selling process, this is what happens. The difference between securitization and loan selling, as I told you, in a securitization, you use the loan portfolio as a collateral or as a backup, and then you issue a separate instrument to invest. There is then the organization's involvement is still there to a certain extent. In a loan sale, complete transfer and you have no more involvement. So this statement, the process whereby an organization pools assets and loans together and sells them as a package to other investors. So the tricky part here is that sell them as a package to other investors, right? To other investors. So if you look at selling, right? Pooling the assets and loans and sell to a third party is one. And then sell them as a package to other investors. That means you are allowing other investors to invest in this package. And that is the differentiator here, which is a very thin differentiation, I must say, that distinguishes between a loan sale and securitization. So therefore, if you go by that carefully, this definition is more in line with securitization than loan sales. So that's why I told you, I took some time and clarified several times to you all the difference between the loan sale and securitization. There's a very thin differentiation between the two. You need to understand that bit, the last part, whether the organization has a continuous involvement and whether there is any modification to the portfolio and sell it, or whether you sell it as a pool of assets to someone and clear up your hands. So that's where the loan selling is. The first one, securitization. So this is I must say, this is a very tricky statement. For even the statement is not very clear to the last part. So this is where the catch is in this statement. So therefore I can see out of the responses, I've got 17 responses. I have equal responses for B and D. So it's fair enough, because it's a little difficult to distinguish between the two, but that's why we need to be very clear on the exact definitions of these concepts. When you go there, sometimes there are tricky words that distinguishes the answer. So the correct answer therefore is D, right? Let's go to question number 20. But I've got only 11 responses by now for this one. Let's see why. Is it a difficult question? I think again we are getting a somewhat similar questions what we discussed up to now. Let's see the question. Only 11 responses by now. Mark, which of the following best describe loan sales? Marketing new loans to customers, pooling loans with the credit risk, making a loan to a company and then selling the loan to another institution, selling some loans in a portfolio to offset losses on others. Right. Now again, it is tricky here. Right. Now, I know the competition is between C and D here, right? C, I think I can see even out of the responses I have got 12 responses, 6 for C, 6 for D. C, making a loan to a company and then selling the loan to another institution. D, selling some loans in a portfolio to offset losses on others. Now, so then that how do you distinguish between the two? Right? Now, the question would be this: if you look at C, it sounds like individual, right? Now, can we sell individual loans or should it be a collection of loans? That could be one of the reasons you might want to move from C to D, selling some loans in a portfolio to offset losses on others. Now, we need to understand why we sell loan to others. Do you want to sell a good set of loans to others and then manage the implication of bad set of loans? Or do you want to avoid the bad debts in the system and then you sell the bad debts? What would be the rationale or what would be the logical way of doing it? Do you want to sell good loans or do you want to sell bad loans in simple terms? Right? If the loans are being serviced by the customers, if they are good, probably the bank would want to continue. So the tricky part in the fourth answer is that selling some loans in a portfolio to offset the losses on others. Right? So that statement here disqualifies the fourth answer. But then the question is, can we accept C as a valid answer because it says making a loan to a company and then selling? Now, again, the tricky part here, when you read it, you might think they are talking about one individual loan. There's no harm in interpreting it that way, but if you read it carefully, this answer is trying to explain you the concept. It doesn't necessarily mean they're talking about an individual loan here. They're trying to explain the concept. Loan selling means you first sell a loan to one party and then you sell the same loan to another party to get rid of the first party. That is the concept of loan selling, right? And that is what they are trying to explain here. So if you misunderstood this as talking about individual loan and therefore you went with this because the portfolio, the word portfolio is here, then again, that's where the mistake, because we ignored this component, this part of the answer, right? So see how tricky the answers can be. We got someone similar one previously as well. So that's why I told you, I think at the beginning of this course, the exam, you get sometimes two good answers, and how you distinguish between the two good answers to find the best answer is the trick. Right? For that, you need to pay attention to every single word in these questions and be sure that you get the correct interpretation.
So what is the purpose of loan sales? Isn't it just to offset losses?
Offset what losses? What do you mean by offset? What do you mean by offset? Yeah, just try to understand.
So is it for non-profit?
I mean, what is the meaning of offset generally? Don't worry about the loan portfolio. In simple plain English, what is offset?
Sort of avoid.
When you say offset, it implies you're trying to cover up a problem caused by one party from another source. It's like, remember the hedging? Hedging, what we do? Hedging, we have an instrument, we have an exposure, we create another position. Through that, whatever the losses that you may incur from one instrument or situation is offsetted by the gains you are going to get from the other. So that is offset. Offset means you have one problem or losses from one, you get another to generate a gain so that you offset. Say, for example, you are selling umbrella and during sunny times, your umbrella is not demanded. So there is a loss there. So you sell ice cream to offset the losses of umbrella sales. That's the word offset in general, right? So here, what it says is you are selling part of the loan portfolio to offset the problems of another portfolio, of problems of a few. Let's say you have 10 loans, you have 3 bad customers, and out of the 3 bad customers, whatever the losses you are incurring, you are selling 3 good customers and use that to offset the issue coming from the 3 bad customers. That is the meaning of this statement here. But is that the intention of loan sales? Loan sales is to mitigate the credit risk. So then the idea here is to get rid of the problem. So then you need to logically sell the bad ones, maybe at a bargain, right? I agree with the party. Say, for example, I'll tell you another example. So most of the banks, even in the current context, they are considering about what is the most vulnerable part of your loan portfolio in the current context, bankers? What is the most vulnerable segment in the current context? Are they the big loans or the SMEs? SMEs, small ticket items, right? So it's a very painful thing for most of the banks, although there's a demand, there's a national need or whatever, that's park it for the time being. From a commercial business point of view, serving SMEs has become a very difficult, challenging thing, right? So now most of the banks are now looking at to go up in the value chain. You look at getting rid of small ticket items and increase the ticket size. So you pool the small ticket loan portfolio and try to see whether there are any buyers there, right? You get rid of the problem. Your problem is SME, small ticket loans. You are trying to get rid of that by selling the loans. That means you are not recovering the money from the borrowers. Instead, you transfer your loan portfolio to someone else. So you are selling the problem, right? That's the idea. But here, this statement, it doesn't sound so. It says you are selling the good loans to offset the issue of the problem you are retaining. I think I made it clear to whoever asked that question, right? Let's move to the next one. If you still have doubts, please raise. I'll clarify further. Yeah. 21. And I only have 8 responses to this one yet. Let's see. The question is a little lengthy one, but let's see what the question is. Let's try to understand the question first before we talk about the answer. Right. The question is, the credit risk function within an investment bank would be responsible for implementing a credit risk management policy. All of the following are part of implementing that policy except. So that means you need to find the statement that is not relevant in implementing credit risk management policy, right? Except disenfranchising the trading areas of decisions on granting credit to clients, yes. Ensuring that the various systems used by the bank settlement area are fully integrated. We have a doubt there how it is relevant. Let's see others. Ensuring the firm's credit risk policy dovetails with the general business strategy. That means the alignment between the two. Yes, that is important. Analyzing counterparties credit on many different levels. So if you look at the given responses, this statement doesn't seem to be relevant in the given situation. We are talking about implementing a credit risk management policy. So ensuring the various systems used by the bank settlements areas are fully integrated, whether integrated or not is a different or independent matter when it comes to credit risk implementation. So in this case, the odd one is this B. So therefore the correct answer is B. Let's go to the next one. If we can go a little faster, we can cover more questions. But I've got 13 responses. We'll go fast, or still I'm getting responses. Let's see. The question. Right. The question is, which of the following statements regarding credit rating is false? False statement regarding credit rating. Credit ratings are given with a short-term outlook. The lowest credit rating given by Standard & Poor's is D. Some agencies have not downgraded companies promptly enough. They can be used as a tool to manage credit exposure. So if you look at the given answers, the first one seems false because credit ratings are given within a short-term outlook. No, they look at both short-term and long-term. So this is an incorrect statement. So the correct answer is A. Let's go to the next question, 23. So if you can respond fast, I can take up fast. But I've got 12 responses. Let's go. Question number 23. An organization may manage credit risk at the individual level by using which of the following techniques? Netting, diversification, asset securitization, loan sales. So we have been discussing this quite a lot. So B, C, and D are portfolio level techniques. Therefore, the correct one is netting. Netting is happening at individual level. You can't do netting at portfolio level. The correct answer is A. Right. Let's go to the next question. Let's go fast. Right. So I've got 9 responses so far. So in the interest of time, let me take it up. Right. Clearinghouses on many exchange take on the credit risk of all trades. Which of the following would not be used by clearinghouses to manage the credit risk they face? Not be used, right? Stringent membership requirements of the clearinghouse, continuous review of existing members, restricting trading hours on the exchange, making collateral calls to members in the form of margin. So the idea here is which of the following would not be used. So they face credit risk, what is not affecting the credit risk. So from the given answers, restrict the trading hours on the exchange, because that will not have an implication on managing the credit risk. So from the given list, the correct answer is C. Most of you have given the correct answer anyway. That's good. Although the number is less. Right, let's go to the next one, 25. Right, I've got 9 responses again. Let's see the question. Which of the following best describes the credit spread of a bond? The downgrade of a firm's credit rating leading to increased borrowing cost. The difference between the interest rate the firm pays when it borrows and the interest rate on a default-free security. The charge made by credit rating agencies who publishing credit rating, the initial fee paid by borrowers when issuing securities. So the question is about credit spread. That means, in other words, what is the credit period, the credit premium, the risk premium, right? That's the idea. So the correct answer is B. Right? That is your interest rate versus risk-free rate. Right, let's do one more. 26. Right, I've got 12 responses. Let's see. Right. The question is, of the credit rating listed below, which of the following is the lowest credit rating? Lowest, right? CAA, CCA, CCC. Right? The lowest. They're asking the lowest. So the correct answer is D, C, because in the given list, highest is CAA, then CCC, then CA, C, because this is not from the same rating agency. They are giving different agencies. If you look at this, different agencies use different techniques, different letters. So if you look at the order, that's what the order is. So the lowest is C in this case. Right. So the correct answer for question number 26 is B. Right. So as I told you, I need to leave a little early today. I'm not well. So we will continue the next week, but I would expect, if possible, please, if you can do your homework and be prepared whenever time permits with your answers and quickly respond, we can go faster. So I'm planning to finish the credit risk, the balance questions next week and start market risk. So if we can go faster, we can finish off all these questions and then go to the next step. Right. With that, let's conclude the class today as discussed. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Good night,
sir.
sir.
Good night, sir.